Back to painting with Martin. It's been a while and I apologize for that. Now I'm back with another video, and this time we're taking a look at Pathfinder the Arena, and this time it's the Wraith, which I printed out here. It's art from Claudio Cassini. Thank you very much to Giochi Uniti, I hope I pronounced that right, who gave me a copy of this game for Essen Spiel 2024. And they don't actually have any card art in the Pathfinder Arena Monsters of the Arena expansion pack, which I'm painting these miniatures monsters for. And so I printed out these ones on the official website. So I'm going to have these one as a guide. Now this one is the Wraith, which we're going to paint today, and this one looks very cool. I'm going to put this one down. So it looks like this. I primed this one using a Vallejo primer, like as always, and you can do the same, and I recommend you doing so. If you're unsure how to use a primer, please take a look at one of my videos on the channel. There is a full comprehension tutorial how to do that in that video. Thank you. So this one is that one, and we're painting two monsters today. The other one is the fire elemental, looking like this. Looking really nice because we painted fire effects before, so we're going to try and capitalize on that. And this one looks like this. Looks really cool. Also primed this one in Vallejo white primer. So we are going to start by painting the Wraith. So we're going to put this one aside for a moment, and as you can see, it's a fairly straightforward miniature. It has lots of red, and unfortunately the smoke part is kind of part of the art here. So you're only going to paint it red, and then you're going to have the white as the black as a face, and maybe a few dots of white inside there as well. So let's take a look at it, and I'm going to leave this one aside. I've already organized my wet palette here. So as we're going to start with this one, I'm going to start by giving it a good coat of contrast from Citadel called Contrast Blood Angels Red. And as you can see, that's the name of the color. It mixes the effects of a wash with the regular effects of a color. Give it a good shake off camera, of course, make sure all the pigments are mixing fairly well, and then we are taking a look at it straight away. Now, opening this one, and as you can see, it's a very vibrant color, so I'm going to use it straight away on this one. And I'm going to make sure that I hold it upside down to make sure all these skulls are not showing here now underneath and not getting any paint on it. So hopefully you'll be able to see it. Give it a good coat. And make sure you don't touch the face here. But everything else should be covered as well. Maybe not the hands. Maybe the hands we can do black. The hands are not really showing. Maybe those are the black ones in the card art. So I'm going to see how this is what it looks like. I'm just turning it upside down so I don't spill anything on the skulls underneath it's standing on. Very gruesome figure. And this one applies with nice even coverage. You might need two coats for this one. We'll see how it goes after the first one. And angling it around this time. It's always good to angle the miniatures, make sure you cover all the spots, making sure there's no white or grey primer showing underneath. I have not played the board game, but I have played the role-playing game that Pathfinder also has, also from Paizo, the company that has the Pathfinder license. Really good role-playing game that really got me into dungeon crawlers and stuff like that, and this is something like 10 years ago. So now I play D&D from I think Wizards of the Coast, and but Pathfinder is what really got me started in the kind of like the dungeon crawler genre. So as you can see here, it's fairly easy to paint this miniature. You never painted miniatures before. This one is a great starter miniature to start with. Making sure you cover all the things on it as such. And angling the miniatures, make sure that you have nice even coverage. All parts of the robe, even down to the last bits on towards the base. If you're unsure what's part of the base and what's not, don't worry, we can always cover mistakes later on as we go along. So already looking much, much better. And we're going to leave this to aside for drying a little bit. And actually, I can cover this one. And we're going to cover straight away the face and the hands with some pure black. Black from Vallejo. Abaddon black from Citadel would work perfectly as well. I'm going to squeeze this one out on my palette. And I'm going to turn my attention to his hands and his face. His face is pure black. And his hands as well. Now keep in mind, if you feel that the hands should be red actually, let me know in the comments. I might be wrong here about this one. So if you played Pathfinder, the Arena board game, and you feel like, oh, Martin is totally wrong here, let me know and I'll try to fix my mistakes for next time. Something like this. Now I can see my black almost spilled out over here, so I will try to soak this one up. There we go. Now doing a little bit more just in case. All right, something like this. Now I'm going to clean my brush and have you take a look at it as such. See if I can bring up a light here a little bit. Something like this. Very good. Leaving this one aside to dry. And before I do that, I actually have a little bit spot that I missed. Just there. All right. This one done. We're going to leave this one aside to dry for a second or two. Oh, I see that I missed one more spot as well. It's very easy to do that. Done. Hopefully it's done. Now, I'm going to close the paint pot for this one. Make sure it doesn't spill. That would be unfortunate. And turn our attention to the fire elemental. I'm going to show you again what it looks like on the card art from Claudio Cassini. Really good artist. As you can see, it's mostly, yellow and a little bit of bits and bobs of orange towards the end. So we're going to try to keep this to the card art as much as possible. I'm going to leave this one out over here, so I can take a look at it. You're not going to see it on camera, but hopefully you caught a good glimpse of it when I showed you here, and you'll try to keep it as well. There's a good art link to these things online. I'll try to post this in the description box below here, so you can actually take a look at the card art if you don't actually have the game itself, because I only have the expansion for this one. Again, thank you very much to Giochi Uniti for giving me this, and especially Martina, who were kind enough to talk to me on the Essen Spiel fair last year. Now, with that said, I'm going to first of all cover this one in two thin coats of Yriel yellow from Citadel, and that's going to cover pretty much the entire figure. But the whole thing here, the point here, you can use an old brush to pitch this one out, because Citadel jar. I'm going to put this one out over here, a lot of it, and leave this one here. And then I'm going to make sure that I put in plenty of water in this one, because I want it to be very thinned, the coats here. And I'm going to cover the entire figure with this one. So don't worry about if you miss something. All this is going to be Yriel yellow. Another alternative color would be any kind of yellow from from Vallejo as well. But now I'm using the Citadel color, and let's see if I can zoom in here for you guys. There you go. So there's no particular order where you cover the miniature. I just want to make sure that I cover everything. And by having a thin coat of water, you actually risk that you can actually cover all the details with it without it obstructing any view or something like that. And you also see all his kind of like fabric texture underneath is showing as well. And by priming this one in a white color, it actually shines through more as well, as in part of priming it with a white one. Angling the miniature, make sure you get even coverage on all parts of the miniature. And trying to make sure you don't touch the base as well. Something like this would be quite okay. Now giving it a quick coat of all the other colors as well. As such, looks quite nice. Putting this one aside, cleaning my brush, and then I'm going to take some red from Vallejo, and I'm going to take some red that I already mixed in here in my palette, my wet palette, and I'm going to mix this one in with the Yriel yellow to create a kind of like orangey mix. Or some sort, and very light orange mix. I'm going to put this one on towards the edges here. Doesn't really mix them very well, so I'm going to switch to another color, and this one I'm switching to, in this case, Trollslayer orange from Vallejo, from Citadel, and it's going to be a little bit more vibranty. And I'm going to use this one pure, and I'm going to put something out here, and that's the color I'm looking for here. And I'm going to cover here the edges, blending it in with the already wet paint of the Yriel yellow. A very subtle effect, only towards the edges here, to correspond to the card art. And this is what I'm blending into the wet color here. It's called wet blending. And I'm using a stickling motion here to make sure that it has like the uneven fiery look. So because fire doesn't have the same flame all over the place. This is a very easy miniature to paint. Making sure that you still have some of the yellow showing as well. And then, when this one is still wet, I'm going to use some Mephiston red from Citadel as well, and cover only the small edges of red on the miniature. I'm using it neat. And here I'm going to touch some small dots of red here to give that fiery look. On the edges here, just dabbing it around. Just create those hot spots. Blending it in with the orange, but leaving the yellow intact where it is. Looking like this. A little bit on the back side. And this is really what brings out the details of the miniature here, the red and the orange parts. Adding a little bit more red to all the areas where they, also a little bit on the face here, a little bit too much, you can much it around like this. No glaze, no wash is needed here. and this one is pretty much done. So we're going to leave this one aside and return our figure to the Wraith, who the Wraith is actually almost dried now. Now, almost dry, we can start working on the base here. And for the base, we're going to use some Ushabti bone, I believe. Yes, I believe we'll do so. Some Ushabti bone for the skulls. Using it neat on the skulls. I hope it's skulls, by the way. It might also be just rocks. You can, if you want rocks, you can paint it as rocks. I find it, maybe it should be rocks. If you wanted just to paint it as rocks, you can paint it easily with just some grey color of your choice. Just a small thin cover of on the miniature here. Put it here on the center so you see it. Oops, got not dried here entirely, so that's a little bit of a problem, but we can fix that by covering it in over some more. Can simulate the blood effects of that if you like. It's always a way to fix things. Alright, something like this would be quite nice. It's not dried entirely yet, so we're going to see if we can speed up the process by simply dabbing some paper on it. Normally you wouldn't do this, but in this case you can easily do that if you wanted to speed it up a little bit, and otherwise you leave it to dry and then you continue with the next step on this one, because it really sinks into the nice crevices or the nooks and crannies here. And you can easily just go with it as it is if you want to. This is a fairly done miniature, but if you want to stay and add a few more details, please feel free to continue watching. And this one we are going to do some dry brushing. Dry brushing is a nice technique that I've used before, and I'm going to use it with some Wild Rider Red. Actually, no, we're going to use some Mephiston Red from Citadel first. Dry brushing works very easily. You can put this one back here. You take an old brush or a dedicated dry brush, you soak it with paint and leave the pot aside and wipe most of the paint off the brush until you're left with almost no color on the paint. Now, and then you simply paint it over the areas where you want it covered. This one needs to be entirely dry for this, so this is not entirely dry. So I'm going to try and dry it up a little bit faster, and you dry brush it over the edges as such. And that's it. Now, for a highlight, you can use some Wild Rider Red and use it only to cover the raised areas of the Wraith. Such as and this is a good idea to practice this, just touching some of the robes, some of the outlying robes. And it gives it this nice vibrant look. And some nice highlights with that. Using it neat. Only touching the raised areas and leaving the shadows underneath. it also introduces a variation of red into the otherwise completely red fabric as well. And if you left a little bit of like the shadows, a little bit of the black that you touched before here, that's perfectly fine. It gives kind of like the spooky look here, if I may say so. So as such, and with this one, the final stage here in this one is going to go and paint the base as well as also the rocks that we just painted. And we're going to cover this one in, oops, dropped my brush here, my apologies for that, and it happens. And we're going to cover this one in Nuln oil from Vallejo, no, from Citadel, I believe, yes. And cover the base with this one as well, as part of the rocks, no, or the skulls, whatever you choose to feel it. And we'll give it a nice tintish look as well for this one's. Looking like this, the miniature is done. So this is the Wraith look from Pathfinder the Arena. And then we're going to turn our attention over to the fire elemental, which we're also going to cover the base in this way. Just cover it with some Nuln oil or black wash, and it gives kind of like a nice stony look, like pavements on the area as such. Looking really nice. This one is not entirely dry yet, so we're going to leave this one over here, but it's done already. So I want to thank you, all of you who have subscribed to my channel so far. Thank you very much. It really makes me happy to see that so many of you are actually liking my videos. If you like this video, please give it a nice thumbs up. Consider subscribing as well. It really helps the channel grow so I can reach out to more people with my amateur miniature painting skills. And if you're really in the mood, please leave a comment as well. That would be really cool. I really appreciate that. So I'm going to put these ones aside over here. And we're going to see here if we can zoom into these ones, the last ones. And they're over here. And put this one over here so you can see these ones. That's the fire elemental. See if you can see that. Hopefully you can. So with this one said, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next one in the next video. This one over here. I'll say this one like this.